It's the execution that matters. There's so many smarter, more successful people than me in this industry and in this world that I don't need to recreate anything. I just need to follow what they did and execute better, or just simply execute. We started an advisory board. It's led to 70% of our new recurring revenue in the last 24 months. That is my best tip I can give to anyone in the industry. But you have to know how to execute on it. You have to get the right people in the room. You have to have the right agenda. I think that's number one, is create an advisory board. They need to identify what's most important to them. Is it communicating with clients? Is it asset management? Is it financial planning? Is it solving problems? Is it liquidity events? I don't know what it is. Is it estate planning? Is it a tax angle? But whatever their core competency is and what they're really good at, they should focus on. And if they do, their business is going to fly. If they get stuck in the mud doing 18 things, they're going to be stuck in the mud. We're going to be different in the local wealth management industry, and we're going to thrive. We're going to thrive. This is a great firm and great people. I couldn't be more excited about the industry, and I think we're going to do great. There's absolutely a master plan. It all has to do with people, because this is a people business. So how do you build that master plan out? It comes down to people and clients and families. But it also comes down to strategy. I believe that we should be able to implement a strategy in the next couple of years that could make us different in the local wealth management arena also, that I think is missing in our industry.
I love it. It's really smart of you to have the self-awareness to figure that out. The RIA space is evolving every single day. Me and my partners at Bridgemark Strategies, there's 20 of us, and every Monday we have a meeting just talking about new firms, new opportunities, new trends, and there's new RIAs popping up every single day that are solving some sort of problem and helping financial advisors outsource something that they don't want to do. But I still talk with so many wirehouse advisors that still have so many misconceptions around the RIA channel, that the investment options are inferior, that the technology is inferior, that they have to go out and do their own compliance and technology and billing and troubleshooting and all of those things. And you were smart enough to go out and have someone help guide you and help you figure out something in the middle that gives you all the autonomy that you need, but still go to work and take care of your clients at the end of the day and go home to your family at night and not be worrying about integrating e-money with your Orion software. How are things better for your clients now being in the RIA world? Like, how are you servicing them differently? How are you communicating differently, building the relationship? Can you give a few examples for the listeners that are maybe considering doing something like this? Like, what's in it for the client? Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the podcast today. I really appreciate you joining. Today, we have the pleasure of having on Jason Geisz. He's on the podcast to discuss his journey from Paine Webber, now UBS, to Morgan Stanley, to now Sanctuary Wealth, one of the largest RIAs in the industry, where he launched his independent practice, Familia Wealth, in Bloomfield, Michigan in November of 2021. Jason has an awesome story to tell, and also a best in state wealth advisor in the state of Michigan. So should be a really, really good podcast. Jason, I really appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me, Corey. It's a great opportunity to share my story, but more importantly, everyone's got their own story that are wealth managers and financial advisors, whether they're by themselves or on a team setting at a huge firm or already an independent firm. And I'm glad to share mine with you guys today.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And no two are the same for sure. If you don't mind just digging in a little bit and letting the audience know a little bit about yourself, I think that'd be an awesome place to start.
Yeah, let's do it. So happily married 20 years, born and raised in the Detroit, Michigan area with a couple of years overseas in Hong Kong. 3 children ranging from 11 to 16 years old. And I love staying busy and I love working out. I think if you've got a sound body, you've got a sound mind, which leads to a good business. And ultimately, I think that comes down to how you treat people and understand people. We're in that business where we take care of families. And so I put my family first. We even named our firm after it. So that's a little bit about myself. Hobby-wise, I do like to race sailboats. So I race them offshore and also around the buoys, everything from my J70, which is a 23-foot boat, up to a 70-foot boat that we race on the Great Lakes.
That's awesome. I used to love sailing. The biggest sailboat I've ever been on is a Sunfish, though. I know that's entry level, but it was a lot of fun.
Those are the best. The closer you can get to the water the more fun the sport is, and that's why I have a smaller boat, a 23 footer, because every single thing you do, right or wrong, gets amplified, and so you either stand out quick or you look bad quickly.
I
So
love
keep
it.
that sunfish.
So much fun. So I just wanted to discuss a little bit today, what kind of got you to, what are the things that led up to making the leap to independence? What are some of the struggles? I know it's not all peaches and cream on the independent side. And then also, really just want to kind of highlight all the benefits that you've seen along the way as well. But I guess my first question for you is, when did you start to realize that the wirehouse environment might not be the best place long term for you and your clients?
Yeah, so there definitely were a couple key parts of my career that made my eyes open and say, what am I doing? Is this really the right thing?
Yeah.
And one of them came kind of quickly. So I started in the year 2000, immediately out of Michigan State, had a business degree, and I started 2 days later. A guy flipped me his card in his backyard. I was selling his wife some knives. That was my college job. And he asked me what I was doing after school. I said, I have no idea. I might go to the law school. I don't know. Anyway, I kept his card. I ended up getting my job there, my first job. And it was going well. And we were in a training program like you traditionally they had back in the day. I'm sure they still do. These big firms are pretty good training organizations. But about a year in, I was doing well. I don't know, probably near the top of my class, and got out of the bullpen and all that stuff. Got my little office. And at one of the sales meetings, manager made a comment to me like, how come you didn't put more money into that fund that we just came out with? And I was kind of taken aback. I was like, well, I didn't think it was right, or it didn't, that's not really my business model. And I was kind of, shocked at it. And that day kind of like stood in my mind. And I was like, you really think my job is to like push this fund? My job is to take care of families and be a financial planner. And I'm
Yeah.
going to go become a CFP. And so that was number one. Number two is a credit crisis, right? 2008, 2009. Again, it was kind of like product related. The structured products had an issue in the industry, right? Because of Lehman Brothers. And so then the distrust for credit rating agencies and some other things really left me questioning, what am I doing? Is this the right thing, right structure? And then some more time elapsed. And as you know, and you shared, I did go to Morgan Stanley from UBS. And that was an important time in my career. I had a great partnership at UBS with someone I consider a mentor and a friend to this day. But we had to go in different directions. I wanted a new leadership challenge, and it was good for a fair amount of time. My business was pretty successful, and then I ran into someone that I had met early in my career at UBS, and we joined up in the year 2016 at Morgan Stanley. And ultimately, those are the people that had started Familia Wealth with me, so we stayed intact. But yeah, I think the third time, so first was at the beginning of my career with product. Second was, mid-career with product and Wall Street in general. And then the third time was really COVID. I thought that a lot of firms managed through that horribly, and it affected me as a human being. It affected my ability to perform. It affected my energy level. And I decided one Christmas Eve morning that I wasn't going to be sitting in that chair or that firm for that much longer. And I'm not going to share the exact date, but I had the self awareness and spoke with my partners and my team, everybody. And we decided that we would be more fulfilled and we would do better for our clients if we were not in that structure. And that's kind of how we decided, or we realized that it's time to do something about this.
COVID was kind of a pivotal place in my career as well, where I went from, W-2 recruiter with firms like LPL and Ameriprise to the independent side as well. So our stories align quite a bit from that standpoint. Did you consider independence at any point in your career before that, or was that just kind of the the defining moment?
It's a good question. Actually, I did, and we did. Before I left UBS, the team that I was a part of, we looked at it pretty closely. Ultimately, we didn't. And there were other partnership challenges. And actually, I think it makes sense that we didn't at that time. When I switched, I went to Morgan Stanley with nobody. It was just myself,
Yeah.
and got every single family but one. My old partner and I have never tried to get each other's clients. That's not who we are as human beings.
Yeah.
But no, it was, I would say I looked at it then. So that was the year 2011. I just wasn't ready. And I wasn't going to do it alone. The second or third chapter of my career, essentially, when we went independent, it was different. It was a team, it was a team of 6 people and a way larger practice and a lot more scope. And it made a lot more sense to us at that point.
It definitely helps quite a bit too. I mean, I speak with a lot of financial advisors where it's just them and an administrative assistant, going through this process together. It really helps sometimes to have a team to split up responsibilities, have a sounding board, amongst many other things when you're doing this.
For sure, and there are advantages to having some scale. It clearly, a lot of, I'm sure a lot of what you talk about in going independent is the financial ramifications, the margins. And look, if you have more revenue, more people, you're able to have better ratios of your support staff and your infrastructure and your operations. So I would urge the people that are individuals that are considering this might want to look at smaller teams or teams that are already existing to help them, because they need to identify what's most important to them. Is it communicating with clients? Is it asset management? Is it financial planning? Is it solving problems? Is it liquidity events? I don't know what it is. Is it estate planning? Is it an estate planning or tax angle? But whatever their core competency is and what they're really good at, they should focus on. And if they do, their business is going to fly. If they get stuck in the mud doing 18 things, they're going to be stuck in the mud. They're not going to be able to grow any better than the industry growth rate.
100%. 100%. So when just to kind of piggyback on that a little bit, some of those things you just mentioned, some of the things that were really important to you when you started to dig in with some of these different firms, like what were some of the things that kind of blew you away that you didn't even know existed? What got you really excited when you were exploring?
First of all, autonomy. Like, this discussion doesn't even have to take place unless there's some autonomy, meaning we have the ability to make some decisions. And so I was I was pleasantly surprised that, wow, we get to kind of decide our tech stack even within Sanctuary, meaning like you can pick which financial planning tool you want. Do you want an all-inclusive app that talks with your CRM, with your financial planning tool, with your custodian? You can have that. There are things that we didn't have at the Wirehouse. There are things that appear to be really good there, but then when you actually look outside, you're like, that's the same. Everyone's got that. Okay, that I guess they have that on the independent channel. So we were pleasantly surprised that the technology was the same or better, and we had choice in the matter to decide which tools work best for our team. You know, if our planning person liked this tool better, or it was really good at cash flow planning, or something else, then we chose that tool. So I think the autonomy and the independence to choose the tech stack was important. Another thing that was important was just the fact that for us, we didn't want to make every single decision. Like, we like autonomy, but we also don't want to decide on the benefits package. We don't want to decide on some of these items payroll. Like, yeah, we want to approve it, but we don't want to decide on the vendors and all this stuff. So we affiliated with Sanctuary because we hired a consultant that helped us understand the landscape. And we understood, like, if you go fully independent, or if you go this kind of, if you're a breakaway that's a hybrid, so we wanted some help. We didn't want to be full-fledged, make every single decision under the sun. And Sanctuary was great in that process, and our consultant was great in that process. So we're able, I'll get back to, like, one of my major beliefs is we're able to do what we're good at. We don't want to spend time doing things that we can either delegate or we're not that effective at. And we think some of that is infrastructure wise. We came from a place where all the infrastructure was done, right? So we didn't want to go from like ripping off the band-aid and bleeding out. We wanted to kind of say, hey, let's put some medicine on that and let's see what happens with that.
For sure. And it's really smart of you to have the self-awareness to figure that out. The RIA space is evolving every single day. Me and my partners at Bridgemark Strategies, there's 20 of us, and every Monday we have a meeting just talking about new firms, new opportunities, new trends, and there's new RIAs popping up every single day that are solving some sort of problem and helping financial advisors outsource something that they don't want to do. But I still talk with so many wirehouse advisors that still have so many misconceptions around the RIA channel, that the investment options are inferior, that the technology is inferior, that they have to go out and do their own compliance and technology and billing and troubleshooting and all of those things. And I mean, you were smart enough to go out and have someone, help guide you and help you figure out something in the middle that gives you all the autonomy that you need, but still go to work and take care of your clients at the end of the day and go home to your family at night and not be worrying about integrating e-money with your Orion software or whatever it is. So it's great that you found that.
I think it's so important to just to get the big stuff right in business. And what else do we need to see in our industry then? Wirehouses have lost 10% market share and independents have gained 10% market share. You're like, what else do you need to see? If you're a financial advisor, that means advisors are making that decision, clients are making that decision. Another thing that I think is super interesting is that, you think when you're in that world, you think, what a great firm, what a great brand. And we're not going to get as many big clients. It's the exact opposite. When a successful family views you as a boutique and they view you as an entrepreneur yourself, your credibility goes to here. You're no longer a senior VP of a firm that has 19,000 or 6,000. They actually view you as an entrepreneur. They respect you more. They view you as more credible. That's one thing that we found out is that when we shifted and readjusted, I'm sure we're going to talk about transition. We have like a perfect transition. We left some large institutional business behind. We moved on from a couple families and we kind of redefined our business during that process. But I'll tell you, it was all for the better. And so people that consider doing this or that end up doing this, they have to understand it won't be perfect. It might be far from perfect. But 2 or 3 years in, and that's why I'm glad we're having this conversation now. We're going to celebrate our 4th anniversary next month. It really can work. And you can really start growing your enterprise drastically. 30, 40, 50% a year is possible. That's what we've done for 2 years straight, basically year 3, year 4 at Familia Wealth. So I'm a big fan. And I think there's so many talented people in this industry. Get the big trend right. The big trend is advisors are choosing independence for a lot of reasons that we'll cover today. And I think clients like it too. And big clients like it. Do not be afraid and think that, oh, you're an independent small firm. It's the opposite. It's the opposite.
So let's just talk about that now since you brought it up. So, didn't have the perfect transition from a retention standpoint, which is, totally okay. I speak with financial advisors about the concept of, going backwards to, move forwards and, losing some less loyal clients sometimes is the biggest benefit in a transition. So I'll let it come out of your mouth instead. But so many times I have financial advisors say, Corey, I brought 70% of the assets with me, but with my new firm I'm at, I have more revenue than ever before. And like literally 50% of the time has opened up in my day to like better serve and do other things that are important to me. But I just love to hear your experience of, transitioning, you're 6 months in, what that looked like and, kind of what changed to propel you forward.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head. Like, basically, you're not going to get everybody, and of course, there's some teams and some advisors that do. There might be in the 90s percentage wise. That's awesome. It's phenomenal. I mean, like, kudos to them. For us, we also were modifying our business model. We were probably 10 years ago, we were probably like 60-40, like advisory to transaction. And by the time we left, we were probably like 85-15. Right now, today, we're 97-3, right? So we've moved on from a lot of business where there wasn't perceived value on a client's eyes, and there was no value for us, right? We're not getting value for our advice. They don't come to the meetings. They don't want to be encircled with tax and with estate planning and all these other things. So when you modify your business model, you're going to take a hit because not everyone's going to work with you. And by the way, like, that's good. That's fine. One of the most important things is to know who you are and what you deliver to families. And so for us, that's been an upgrade. And I shared with you, but I mean, I'll give you more details. We got three of the biggest referrals of our careers within 12 months of going independent.
Wow.
Three of the biggest. And one was from a client, and two were from advocates that weren't even our clients, but they respected us and they saw us and they had been following us and they know our story. That cannot be understated, because the best RIAs and the best hybrids and the best partner firms at Sanctuary Wealth, we get a lot of business that comes in because of referrals. And some of that is because of structure. So we can talk about that. I mean, I've got two or three key drivers of our growth.
Please.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think that firms, and I'm going to give away a little secret, but that's okay, because it's not the secret, it's the execution that matters, right? And anyone that knows me, Corey, we've had a couple of discussions. Anyone that knows me is I love R&D, and people think of that as something different than I think. I think of it as rip off and duplicate. Okay, there's so many smarter, more successful people than me in this industry and in this world that I don't need to recreate anything. I just need to follow what they did and execute better, or just simply execute. And so a concept that's out there, and I think some people do this, but we start an advisory board, and it's 6 clients, and you have to think. So this is where the execution matters. It's not just the idea, it's the execution. You have to put the right people together. You also have to have a non-client in there, because you don't just need client perspective, you need outside perspective. And then you have to be deliberate about what your agenda is. And you have to do so in a timely, efficient manner with the right people. You can do that. It's led to 70% of our new recurring revenue in the last 24 months, directly to 6 people. That is my best tip I can give to anyone in the industry. But you have to know how to execute on it. You have to get the right people in the room. You have to have the right agenda. I'm not going to share with you my agenda. There's a lot of smart people in the profession. It's not hard to think about what the agenda would be. But I think that's kind of number one, is create an advisory board.
Hey, breaking in real quick. I really hope you're enjoying this episode and finding my YouTube channel of value. If you're a high-performing financial advisor that can use somebody as a guide or a resource to explore all your transition options out there in the marketplace, I'm a non-biased, independent transition consultant that can help make this process so much easier for you. And another plus, it costs absolutely nothing to work with me. If you want to have a conversation, please feel free to text, call, email, DM me. My contact information is all over this episode, and I'll let you get back to it.
Part of my business belief system is that if you're swimming, I don't know if you guys have read, Red Ocean or Blue Ocean. I think it's called Red Ocean. But it's basically, the whole concept is, sharks are going to the blood, so why are you going to go there? Why are you going to be in red water? Like, go find a blue ocean, go do something that someone else isn't doing, or somewhere where no one is. And by the way, I didn't just describe that perfectly, but I think you understand the concept.
Yeah.
The idea is, right now, identify what your competition is doing, or what they're not doing, and maybe be different. And so one of the things we did right out of the gate, not out of the gate, it took us a year, but about a year in, we said, you know what, let's brand ourselves. Like, everyone thinks, oh, the big brands are so great and they've got such a great reputation. I don't really care what someone sitting in South Carolina knows about Familia Wealth, but I can tell you that in a 10 square mile radius of our office in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, almost everybody knows who my firm is because of how we've branded ourselves. And what we've done is, I got some advice from someone in a peer leadership group that I'm in with, who has built a phenomenal insurance business, who went 6X in 3 or 4 years. And he only had 2 things that he did different than every other person that does insurance. Treat your people like gold. And number 2, use media to your advantage.
Yeah.
And so I hired his media guy, and we do 2,000 commercials. They're 30-second spots within a 10-mile radius of Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. And I'm having a conversation through the camera or through the TV screen um, all the time to my target market. It is specific, the message, so I can weed out my non-target clients. And I talk about things like tax efficiency. I talk about spousal awareness of finance, which is a hot button issue in a lot of marriages. We talk about liquidity event planning, and then, of course, legacy and stuff like that. And I'll tell you what, it works. And what happens is it's something that no one does. Okay. Like in my community, there's Fisher Investments, which is a national firm that puts their 800 number on there 16 times in a row and bashes annuities. That's not really going to resonate. That's not who we're looking for as clients. We have a conversation about these pain points and then try to provide a solution. So that we're doing it effectively. And that's led to a lot of introductions and a lot of advocacy in the community and from our board. So that's the other major one. That also includes things like charitable impact and other stuff in the community where we brand. We do lots of that where we just get stuff out. But it's fun to build your brand. If you want to go independent and you want to be autonomous, we've had a lot of fun doing that. And I'll tell you the best thing. Everyone says, what's your ROI? You know what I say? Hey, if my business is up 60% in the last 18 or 24 months, does it matter what my ROI was on that exact line item of my budget? Does it matter? So I view it more holistically, right?
I love it. My marketing guy that I work with, he always says, if you're not talking about your business, no one else is doing it for you. And it's just so powerful. I mean, I knew who your firm was, just through kind of zooming through LinkedIn because of how, active you are on there. I mean, I don't know how many like followers that you have, but every time you're posting something like that, it's reaching your followers. And when they like that, it's broadening and broadening. And it's just something on a monthly, daily, weekly basis you can do to touch your current clients, your prospective clients, your COIs, your community. It's just such a game changer. I feel like a lot of wirehouse advisors don't just truly understand the power of it as it like really starts to get going. So I guess my question to you is, with all of these new efforts, with the new firm up for almost 4 years now, like, how much has your referral flow increased Morgan Stanley to independence?
But we get different ones now, meaning like better, larger.
Yeah.
We'll message very specifically that we are focused on families. So we're trying to get branches of the family tree. That means aunts, uncles, grandparents. That means grandkids. Like we are effectively, it's not just Corey, right? It's Corey's uncle, it's Corey's dad, it's Corey's grandpa, it's his cousin that's a crazy successful entrepreneur down in South Texas. Like, so a lot of our messaging and focus is like internal, like your family. And so we get a lot like that. And but yeah, I would say we get more. They're generally bigger. But what's neat about this, and it's really important on the firm, is we call the families we partner with, we call them super households. Okay. The industry wants to talk about how many households you have per person, what's your revenue per person. These are all good metrics.
Yeah.
They can create efficiencies. You can understand your spend on staffing. These are all good things. But we kind of view it here like, if I have 6 people that are all in a super household, meaning like mom, dad, cousins, that's way more powerful than 6 separate families, right? To us, it is, because we know we're going to have continuity. We know we're going to have retention. We know we're helping them for generations. And that's what we do. On my team, we have my partner Bob has been in the industry since the 60s. Like, we're on our 4th generation of a lot of families. And that's unique and that's fun. And that leads to a lot of business. So, but we also we're not built, Corey, to take on 100 firms. We're built to take on 2 to 4 good clients, 2 to 3 good clients a month. That's it. And we'll screen that out. If we're not a fit, great. There's tons of people in our industry that would probably love to have some of those people, and they'll find someone. But we need to identify that we're valuable to them and they're valuable to us.
How are things better for your clients now being in the RIA world? Like, how are you servicing them differently? How are you communicating differently, building the relationship? Like, can you give a few examples for the listeners that are maybe considering doing something like this? Like, what's in it for the client?
Oh, well, the one major, and this is economics. So I guess economically, you can make it better for the client. There's multiple ways to do it. It's not that the SMA manager fee is less. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is these big firms are driven by net interest margin, right? And they have stated goals of what their returns need to be from their wealth firm. Just announced 30%. My former employer. Others are in the 20s. So you know that the shareholder of that firm is coming first, not the client, right? And we can talk about their retirement packages because it's the same thing. It goes shareholder of the firm first, seller that's exiting next, or retiring FA, and then remaining FA in that order. So anyway, but what I'm getting at is we have open architecture. So it's not a captive lending opportunity. It's we have three of them competing. So if you're a firm that does a lot of lending, like just securities backed lending, you can save your clients tons of money. And by the way, it's not a profit center for us, for Familia Wealth, for your independent firm. You're not even going to get paid on it. Do you care? You want the assets under management. You want to do a great job for these families. It's just a cost. If you can reduce that cost, that's pretty impactful. So that's one. Um, there's other things, but I think one thing that's really unique is your ability to choose the financial planning software you want to use. So a lot of people in this industry are well trained, and we have to be to help solve these complex problems for people. And whether it's cash flow planning, whether they're accumulators, consolidators, or distributors of wealth, you need to have good software. And a lot of the capabilities at my former employers, they're package deals. So there's not a lot of flexibility. They're not really good at flow charting certain things within an estate plan. We use eMoney. We think it's phenomenal. It's a massive upgrade to our clients. It's got everything in there from the vault to, I use it personally for my own stuff all the time. On my phone, super accessible. Here it is. Wow, there's my whole thing. I just think it's pretty neat. So I think planning tools are neat. Lending, you can save them money. And then communication. Communication's tough at the big firms due to policies, procedures, compliance. I get stuff. It's not even, it gets done quick or quicker. And I think that in business, speed matters because when you have that idea, you want to communicate it. You want to get it across. And I'm not talking about a stock deck. I'm talking about this idea on your estate plan, or hey, this tax mitigation strategy, or hey, I have this event I want you to go to. Like you can operate quicker with more autonomy. That ultimately is beneficial to the client. And then the other thing is if you work with business owner clients and you launch your firm, like I mentioned earlier, you have moved up drastically on their scale of respect, credibility, uh, confidence. You're now doing the same thing they're doing.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want to work with that person? I do. I
Yeah.
mean, I love to work with people now that have taken risks or have courage, so on and so forth.
I love it. That's awesome. I think you already mentioned the open architecture, but at a firm like Sanctuary, to just have multiple custodians
Yeah.
where all of them have different strengths and weaknesses from a lending standpoint, alternative offerings, family wealth services, or family office services at a place like Goldman Sachs. Or, I mean, you truly have the ability to shop the street for what your clients need, not just from a lending standpoint, but pretty much from everything to find the best possible solution for them, but still have everything on one client portal and one advisor portal, which is just incredible.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's really fun to be affiliated with a firm where partner firms, like so Familiar Wealth is one of 120 partner firms at Sanctuary. They listen, they care, they have to listen and care because of our size and because of their goals and initiatives. But when partner firms suggest something, either a tech tool or something, they listen. I mean, we've had two implemented in the last 9 months because of a friend and a partner firm across the country and his leadership. It's pretty exciting, and some of these things are awesome for the client. Like they are, I'm, I look at everything through the client's eyes. So even myself, I'm like, okay, well, how would this affect me? Like, does this give me information faster? Am I more comfortable? Am I able to share it with my other advisors quicker? Like, why is this good or beneficial to me? And there are things that happen here that happen quickly, and that matters. And I like how you mentioned like all these other things. You can do these things. You can form a relationship with a private bank. You can form a relationship with investment bankers. Like one of the things that stunk about being at one of those big firms is you can't do deals with investment bankers that aren't on the platform. Well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. If it's a relationship business and they're trying to facilitate a liquidity event to you indirectly, and you're introducing them to the client, and you're not going to get compensated or they're not on the list, it's ridiculous. That's bad business strategy. And I don't know why that is. It's compliance. They didn't go through I don't know the reason. What I know is that was an issue. And I've done a fair amount of liquidity event planning with families. And that's a lot better here.
That's so awesome. Thanks for digging into all of that. I think that's going to be super helpful for some of the listeners for sure. Um, so I mentioned in the beginning of this, no platform is, all peaches and cream or sunshine and rainbows. Like, what have been some of the growing pains for you over the last 4 years, making a move from a firm where everything is taken care of for you, from a payroll and HR functions, office space, office supplies, all those things, and now you're, kind of running your own business. What were some of the growing pains?
Yeah, you have to have a certain amount of entrepreneurial drive within you to make this happen. If that's the case, whenever certain hurdles are in front of you, you're going to get over them. If you don't have that kind of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this happen, and you kind of go down a, oh, woe is me angle, that it's going to be a little harder. Like, but if you can understand ahead of time and really be strong and be prepared and be mentally tough to say, there's a couple things that might stink. My transition might not be perfect. I'm going to have to get used to new technology, whether it's better or worse. It's new, right? It's a whole new platform. So I think you have to have like a learning curve. Like you have to be understanding that I'm not going to even, I might not know how to get my performance reports for 2 months. I might not know how to understand the tax situation. Like, so you have to learn. You have to be willing to learn. I would say that's probably the number one thing that could trip people up if they're not willing to learn or it's difficult on them, either intellectually or they don't have the right team structure where they can delegate items. I think that would be, probably one of the challenges.
Yeah.
The other challenge, I think, this has been one of ours, is on the acquisition side. So if you want to grow inorganically, right, for Familia Wealth, that means doing an acquisition of either a firm or an individual. That could be a breakaway from a wirehouse, or it could be an already independent wealth advisory firm or individual. That's proven to be a challenge. There's a lot of moving parts. Everything from legal to timing to the psychology of the deal to real estate to, I mean, the list goes on and on. I would say that that's been a challenge. By the way, it's not something that can't be overcome. We've been close a couple of times, but I think that's been a little harder than I would have thought. If I could just wave the magic wand and confidently say I had infrastructure, I should have two deals under my belt by now.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit harder. That's also on me as a leader. Maybe I need to get better at that process. Maybe I need to lean on sanctuary for that a little bit better. But those are the two I would say. You have to be willing to learn because there will be hurdles.
Yeah.
And secondarily, acquiring has been a little harder than I would have thought.
Yeah. I mean, all of these things have learning curves, just like, any other job. I mean, I had many W-2 jobs before this, and I never liked any of them for the first 4 months. It takes a little while to, figure out new systems, figure out new technology, figure out new things. There's just, a growing time when you make these transitions. But I mean, that doesn't mean in that time you can't run your business effectively. You're
Well,
learning these things as you go. Not every single thing needs to be figured out on day one. And this is a fluid learning experience, I'm sure, throughout your last 4 years. And I'm sure you're still learning about cool new things and, things you can improve on.
every single day. I mean, if you don't have that mentality, it's tough in the business world to be successful, right? So yeah, have to learn every day. Have to have the resources. Fortunately, there are a lot with our affiliation with Sanctuary. Lots of really high performing partner firms across this country that I've learned a ton from, and hopefully I've been able to help them as well. But yeah, it's been a great affiliation.
I love to hear you say that because I think one of the biggest misconceptions making the move to independence, I mean, the word itself basically kind of makes you think that you're doing everything on your own, that there's not a community, that it's you, your team, the people in your office, and that's it. And in my opinion, from my experience helping over 1,000 financial advisors do this, that can be true, but when you're in a W-2 firm, that community is forced on you. Regardless if
Yeah.
you like those people, respect those people, you're getting that kind of forced on you. Where on the independent side, if you don't put any effort into it, maybe it could be a little bit lonely, but if you put the smallest amount of effort out there, I think it's much, much better. There's no more scoreboard. Everyone's not competing against each other in the office. And I think if an independent advisor reaches out to another independent advisor, they're gonna drop what they're doing within reason and they're gonna help you out. And you get to choose your community of like-minded people that you like and and you respect. I mean, there's an advisor at Raymond James I talked to the other day, and like he had 60 financial advisors at his ranch in Texas. They're drinking bourbon together, they're sharing best ideas, having a really good time. Like that's just something that doesn't happen at some other firm. So it is what you make it from that standpoint, in my opinion.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And I think a lot of things just come down to if you're trying to build or grow something or transition something. How good are you or your team at the Eisenhower matrix, right? How good are you at doing something? How good are you at delegating something? Or how good are you at deferring it? And how quickly can you get to that decision? And how quickly can you get to execution? And if you can, you're going to like doing that a lot more as an independent firm. You're going to be fulfilled more. You're going to be in control of your outcomes, or easily able to influence your outcomes better. I don't know. We've gone from a de-energized phase to an energized phase, and we've never grown faster. So it's been great for us.
I love it. So what are the plans for Familia Wealth? I mean, are there empty office spaces? Are there people in the local market you're interested in having conversations with? I mean, what's next over the next 4 years?
Yeah, there'll be an acquisition or two for sure. I mean, we're naturally going to be some people's succession plan in this market, right? There's enough independent firms, there's enough wirehouse people that are unhappy. I think my firm is aligned nicely to intercept those opportunities. From an age, capabilities, statistics, just facts like our client retention, our growth rates, all these things. This is what a seller looks for, right? Hey, can you do this for the families that I've served for 10, 20, 30, 40 years? So I think we'll naturally end up in a couple of transactions. And in the meantime, organically, we're just going to continue to enhance the client experience. We're going to be different in the local wealth management industry, and we're going to thrive. We're going to thrive. This is a great firm and great people, and I couldn't be more excited about the industry. And I think we're going to do great. So, and there's a lot more behind that question, Corey, that I could share with you. There is absolutely a master plan. It all has to do with people, because this is a people business. So how do you build that master plan out? It comes down to people and clients and families, but it also comes down to strategy. So, I don't want to say anything too soon, but I believe that we should be able to implement a strategy in the next couple of years that could make us different in the local wealth management arena also. that I think is missing in our industry. And that's not an asset management strategy. That's something else. So anyway, stay tuned on that.
I love it. Congratulations on the success. It's so awesome what you've built. I'm so happy that all the risk is paying off for you, taking the leap and seeing you thrive. I really appreciate the time, and I think this is going to be so beneficial to a lot of people. So thank you very much.
I'm glad to help, and tell your son that batting 600 is still pretty strong.
I will. My pleasure. Have a great day.
You too.